Hello everybody. In this video I will talk about the Gupta Empire. I might include some other topics, but let's get started. After the demise of the Mauryan and Satavahana empires, most of the Indian subcontinent was divided into many smaller kingdoms. Before around 320 CE, the Guptas were a very small clan and were not very powerful. However, around 320 CE, a Gupta king known as Chandragupta I started conquesting. During Chandragupta's reign, the Guptas started to expand. He conquered into the Lichavi kingdom and then expanded into the west. By the time of Chandragupta's abdication, I'll talk about his abdication in a second, the Guptas have now been recognized as a kingdom and not a petty clan. Meanwhile, in modern-day Maharashtra, the Vakataka dynasty was flourishing. During the Vakataka dynasty, the Ajanta caves were constructed. The Ajanta caves were temple-like monuments with stories inscribed in them. These monuments were often carved into caves or mountains. Most of these caves were Buddhist monasteries. On the walls of the Ajanta caves, things such as Buddha's life story was portrayed. And other Buddhist stories such as the Jataka tales were also inscribed in these walls. Back in the Gupta Empire, instead of Chandragupta waiting for his death, he abdicated and gave the throne to his son, who was not the oldest son, but the most capable son, Samudragupta. He did this because he thought that if he died, then his older son and the more incapable son would take over the throne and wreak havoc everywhere. His older brother tried revolting, but Samudragupta easily crushed him. And thus, the golden age of the Guptas has started. During and after Samudragupta's reign also, arts, culture, construction, and literature flourished in the Gupta Empire. During Samudragupta's reign, Samudragupta expanded to the south. They might have even come in contact with the Vakatakas. Finally, after Samudragupta's death, Chandragupta II, also known as Vikramaditya, succeeded him. It is believed that Chandragupta II constructed the Iron Pillar of Delhi, which still stands to this day. During this time, the main three important rulers were Chandragupta II, Kumaragupta, and Skandagupta. Around 420 AD, the Gupta Empire reached its extent under Chandragupta II. Chandragupta also issued coins on which his face was featured. During the Gupta age, a man known as Aryabhata's philosophy was very popular in the Indian subcontinent. Aryabhata was an astronomer and mathematician. He introduced many theories such as how the earth rotates around its axis. The Arabs, much later on, also used his philosophy. Around this time, another poet called Kalidasa's arts and work flourished. Some of Kalidasa's works include the Raghu Vamsha. However, around 540 AD, a group of peoples called the Huns, who were from modern-day Pakistan and Afghanistan, raided the Gupta Empire. They managed to seize most of North India, and then finally, they raided Bengal and decimated the Gupta Empire around 540 AD. The remains of the Gupta Empire later formed into the Empire of Kannauj. In the south, the Vakataka Empire also declined and was replaced by the Chalukya kingdom. The first important king of the Chalukyas was Pulakeshi II, and the very first important king of the Empire of Kannauj was Harsha Vardhana, and their relationships were very bitter, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Before Harsha Vardhana ascended the throne of Kannauj, his predecessor, who was also his brother, his name was Rajyavardhana. Rajyavardhana was treacherously murdered not long after he was first coronated. Meanwhile, in the south, Pulakeshi was the king, but he had a regnant called Mangalesha. Mangalesha did not like Pulakeshi that much in his later years, and so he tried to usurp the throne for himself. However, his attempts to kill Pulakeshi failed, and Pulakeshi was installed as the full-time king of the Chalukya Empire. In the north, Harshavardhana drove out the Huns and established rule in the area which the Huns previously ruled. Meanwhile, in the south, Pulakeshi's empire also expanded to the north. In both of the kings' reigns, a new golden age similar to the golden age of the Guptas flourished. During Pulakeshi's reign in the south, Dravidian architecture was invented. Dravidian architecture was used to build temples such as the Virupaksha temple. In Kannauj, Harshavardhana was very interested in religion, and soon he even set up seminars specifically discussing about religion. People from all over the world came to attend the seminar. Pulakeshi, afraid that Harshavardhana might attack his empire, declared war on the empire of Kannauj. However, after a few battles, they signed a peace treaty and then they became friends. However, the king of the Pallava kingdom, Narasimhavarman, defeated Pulakeshin II and destroyed the Chalukya empire. This happened around 648 AD. The fall of the Chalukya Empire will conclude my video. In the next video, I will talk about the Ghaznavid Muslim invasion and the arrival of Islam to India. Thanks for watching.